If you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California's firearms lawyer, John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150 or visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
All right, we're on with Angel Cortes from OG Pumpkin. He's been on the show before. Extremely interesting guy. Loved interviewing him. Loved meeting him. And happy to have him on. Angel, how are you doing, man?
How's it going? Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Work-related stuff. But, yeah, thank you for having me on again.
You bet. You know, I was on a podcast about a month ago. They were talking about, San Diego County Gun Owners Radio, and all the other stuff that we're doing. And he asked me who my favorite interview was. And I thought about it for about a half a second, and I said it was you and Benji.
Yeah.
By far, you guys are the most interesting interview after, 5 years we've been doing this. We interview a couple of people, every show, and you guys were by far my favorite interview.
Well, that means a lot. I appreciate that you thought about us right away. It makes me feel like we're basically on the right path.
Absolutely. And don't tell Benji, but I think you edged him out even a little bit. You were probably pulled just ahead of that. So tell me a little bit about, just for those who aren't aware, tell everybody what OG Pumpkin is.
So OG Pumpkin started as a need to fund veteran events that I was doing at my house. So what I was doing was I was inviting veterans for my martial arts gym and school, and I was telling them, hey, come and watch the UFC fights. I'll buy the food and the drinks. And I couldn't keep doing it. I was having a third kid on the way and barely covering the events and rent. So what I decided to do was start a company to fund these events. And I just wanted enough funds to keep this going, and it just turned out into this big thing where, now we're over 500 people who have a OG Pumpkin design tattooed on them. I've been on some very big podcasts, I've been on radio, and the company's grown. We have rash guards, we have stickers, hats, we make skateboards through Benji's company, and now it started off as just, this small thing to make the money to I want to say a movement. In Southern California, we've had our biggest event this year where over 800 people showed up. So it's growing little by little.
That's awesome. Okay, so you were in the Army, got out of the Army, moved back to, I forget, are you in Orange County area or LA area?
Yeah, Orange County.
Orange County. So you're in Orange County and you got out of the Army and just decided, hey, you know what? I want to get a bunch of vets together, just a little socializing, that sort of thing. Was that the idea?
Yes.
And I'm sure it probably helps them tremendously. Probably helps, vets who got out of the military. It probably helps them tremendously to sit and talk and do fun things with other vets, I'm assuming.
Yeah, definitely. And I did it for myself too, because when I got out, I lost my community and I lost my sense of purpose. So throwing the events gave me a sense of purpose, and having those people over and making friends, that was my community.
And that's something that I don't, I think probably doesn't get talked about enough. If you go get a job doing whatever, I don't know, selling cars or whatever, I don't think that person looks at it as, their calling or their purpose or, it's a job, pays the bills. They probably love it. Maybe they don't, whatever. But when you're in the military, they're really, you guys there's definitely a sense of purpose that I think is taught to you guys, promoted throughout. I don't know if you can easily send somebody to war without emphasizing the fact that they have a higher purpose, that that this isn't just simply a job. Am I on the right track so far?
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely.
So then when you leave the military, it's not like, well, gee, I'm going to, I got to roll over my 401k and, whatever. It's very, very different. You've lost a sense of purpose. It's very, very different from just another job.
Yes, sir. And to be honest, it took me a while to realize that, because when I went back home after being away for almost a decade, my wife's family is from Southern California. I'm from Southern California, so I call it the honeymoon stage. Everyone's happy that we're back. We're enjoying being in our old community back, and it feels awesome. But little by little, it starts creeping up, and then you realize, hey, I don't really have a community anymore, and what is my purpose now? And I think that's what happens to a lot of vets. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't find a new community or purpose, and they kind of just are still lost.
Kind of crash, kind of maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, I can totally see that. So you get a bunch of guys together. You guys are watching what? You said MMA fights, just getting together, just socializing, USC, having fun, and it's you're seeing, hey, you know what? This is helping these guys. We're rebuilding a community. We're rebuilding these connections we had. But you know what? It's not free. So we gotta figure out a way just to fund these events, and that's when you came up with OG Pumpkin, right?
Yes, sir.
So talk about OG Pumpkin a little bit more. What you guys sell? I know you guys have partnered with Benji and do some skateboard type stuff, but you guys do a lot of stuff, right?
Yes, sir. So of course, first it just started with hosting fights at the house, but because we were selling so many T-shirts and stuff like that, I realized that not all veterans like to fight or watch fights, but mostly like to go shooting. So I did this thing called an event called Tacos and Vehicles, or I'm sorry, Vehicles and Tacos Range Day. I would buy vehicles, we would shoot to and from the vehicles, and I would have a taco guy come out. And, that was one of our biggest events. We also have skateboarding events because we're trying to also reach out to the younger generation. And it's more family friendly. So our biggest event, we called it Shred the Trend. So shred the trend of to bring suicide awareness. And we turned a warehouse into a skate park. We had vendors, we had a band, the Aquabats played. I'm not sure if you know that band. And over 800 people showed up.
That's awesome.
Let me ask you a question. This is Dave. Do you have a relationship with Tony Hawk?
I don't, but Benji's actually been to his house. So I didn't make it to that event. So I'm going to be honest, I was a little jealous.
Well, you need to reach out. He's, believe it or not, we've had him on our motorsports show, and I've got a really good contact with a lady that might be able to hook you up, because I think if if he found out what you're doing, I'm sure he would help and participate.
You know what? I would love that, and I'm sure Benji would too.
Yeah, he has something to do with skateboarding.
Yeah, right? He knows something about it.
Isn't it amazing how famous Tony Hawk is?
He's way famous.
I mean, people that have no exposure at all to the skateboard world somehow know who Tony Hawk is.
As soon as you say Tony Hawk,
everybody knows who that guy is.
And he's so down to earth, and he's big on giving back. So, contact Mike or Rich, and then get my email, and I'll see what I can do to get you guys hooked up.
I appreciate that, sir.
So tell us about the name OG Pumpkin. Tell us that story again. I know you told us last time, but I like it. So I want to hear it again.
So when people were telling me, hey, you need to start your company, because I was starting to gain a social media following because of sharing combat footage and combat pictures. And I didn't want to start a company just with some designs that I thought looked cool. I wanted it to mean something. And overseas, I would wear a skeleton bandana and skeleton gloves, and I've always liked Halloween. So when my son, at the time he was 5, he drew a pumpkin and he gave it to me, and he's like, "Hey, this is for you." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I looked at it, and I told my wife, "This is it. This is the logo of the company, and if people like it, then I know I got something. But to me, this means something. There's a connection there, so I'm going to go with it." And I made 100 stickers, and I just said, "Hey, who wants a sticker?" And within 2 hours, all 100 stickers were gone, and I was shipping them out to anywhere that there's a U.S. military base. So, Iraq, Afghanistan, Italy, Germany, all over the U.S., and it's everywhere.
And you said, I think you just mentioned, you said like 500 people have a OG Pumpkin tattoo now?
Yes, because one of our main designs, I called it "Just Keep Going," and it's a ghost with a huge rucksack on his back and carrying a rifle, and he's looking like he's having a bad day. And most of us have been there where, where during physical training or prepping to go deployment or actually overseas, you're in the very sucky situation, and you just got to power through. You got to keep going, just keep going. And then I also said, hey, life is like that too. It might seem like these bad moments are going to last forever, but it's not. You just got to keep going. And people heard the message, and they just started tattooing it on themselves. And I thought, when I saw the first tattoo, I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was cool. I thought the guy was crazy. And then that would be the end of the story. But now there's even law enforcement have taken that design and changed it up a bit and put their badge number because they themselves are veterans. I've even had firefighters who changed the design to have a hose and an axe, and even special operations units from other countries have done it.
Oh, so it's not okay. So it's this the ghost with you said with the rucksack. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not the. Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Oh, that's cool. So it's not the pumpkin that they're tattooing. It's the.
Well, that's the main one. A few people have gone the pumpkin, but by far the ghost one is the one that it seems to be everyone's favorite.
That's awesome. Alicia wants to get the pumpkin, I think.
Where should I get it?
I don't know.
On the website.
Yeah. I think it's an ankle tattoo, either to ankle or if it's a pumpkin, you should put it right in your bicep. That'd be awesome. You flex your pumpkin.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County gun rights. OCGO has developed a strong, permanent infrastructure that focuses on changing the face of gun ownership by getting volunteers involved in local level activism and outreach. We have made a profound influence and advancement on policies protecting the Second Amendment throughout all of Orange County. If you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, join OCGunOwners.com/join. Volunteer at a shooting social, at a gun shop, or even a tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Become a member today, OCGunOwners.com/join.
All right, we're talking to Angel Cortes from OG Pumpkin. We were talking about his service to our country, and then when he was done, the service that he put towards other veterans and how that helped build a company to help support the community, which is really, really awesome. But now you're on to another project that's, like I said, the most selfless project I think I've ever heard of. Talk a little bit about what you have coming up here, Angel. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm alluding to?
Yes, sir. So, Benji and I, we obviously we were friends first, and then Mike O'Dowd, who is the founder of Defense Strategies Group, a tactical shooting company out of Los Angeles. He told me, "Hey, man, do you know of any other good guys out there, with some experience and that would be a great addition to the team?" And that's when I thought about Benji, and Benji and I started working together and became closer friends. And one day I could tell something was bugging him. So I asked him, "Hey, man, what's bugging you?" And he's like, "No, nothing. Everything's fine." And then I knew he was lying. But I brushed it off, waited a few hours, and then I asked him again, like, "Hey, man, what's going on? You don't look okay." And that's when he had told me, his wife has stage 5 kidney failure. She needs a kidney, and I could see that I can see everything in his face, and I immediately thought, like, what can I do? What can we do? I told him, hey, maybe I can give one, and after 8 months of testing and driving back and forth to UCLA Medical, I got approved. So October 25th, I am donating her a kidney.
That's amazing. You're donating her a kidney. So they had to check and make sure that it was compatible, and I don't even know what they do. I don't know. They do blood tests, or I wonder how they determine if if you can be an organ donor to someone else, specific like that.
Yeah, it was. Well, first it started off with the blood test, and then that I passed that, and then it was more blood tests, and then it was EKGs. It was CT scans. It was everything. I've never been tested for so much, and well, it turns out it's nice to know that I'm pretty healthy. So
congratulations.
Yeah, and so it was just 8 months of even though I passed something, I still didn't know, can I do it? I would pass one thing and then it'd be like, yeah, but you still have to do another and then another, and I was nervous that it would come back and be like, oh, I'm sorry, but you failed this, or you can't do it because of A, B, and C. But I don't, what are the chances of her not being a match? So
that's a good question. Like, how do you have any idea? Like, how rare, if you just two random people that know each other, how rare is it that they're able to, that one is able to donate to the other? Is it fairly common, or is it pretty rare that two people match?
No. Yeah, it's pretty rare because everyone's just like, that's I've never heard of any of it. I've never heard of someone that close and you just, being a perfect match.
That's amazing. So you guys, all right. So you're talking to Benji. He tells you, hey, here's what's going on. And then, you kind of, I'm sure you had to think about it and just kind of go, hey, you make the decision that, hey, I at least want to try. Like, what Benji and his wife, what were their reactions when you said that?
Well, when I first told Benji, I could tell he didn't know that I was actually serious. He might have just thought that I said it just to be nice. And he said, yeah, man, I'll give you the information on where you can get tested. And then a couple of weeks passed, and he didn't send me that information. And then I saw him again in person, and I was like, hey, man, I'm serious. And that's when I could tell he was like, oh, man, he is serious. And then he gave me the information, and I went right away. And to be honest, I didn't have to think about it that long, or very long at all. I saw the look on his face. I love Benji. He's been like an older brother to me, and it was no hard decision. I mean, what if Benji's wife is a beautiful soul, has a beautiful soul. She helps so much around with what Benji's doing, so she cares about the community. So I immediately thought about my wife and how would I feel if I was in that position. I would want her to get a kidney. So it was an easy call, to be honest.
How did you two meet? Because he was in the Marine Corps, you're in the Army. You guys didn't serve together. How did you guys end up? No. How did you guys meet?
Well, we met because one of my friends was killed in Afghanistan, and Benji had just started his skateboard company, and he decided to help sponsor this charity event for my friend's wife.
I see.
So I flew out to Virginia. I went to the event, and then when I was over there, the charity coordinator was like, "Hey, aren't you from California?" I told him yes, and he's like, "Hey, this company out here is from California. They help sponsor the event." And I was like, "You know what?" I'm like, "Let me reach out." So when I reached out to him, he responded, was like, "Hey, man, I have another event here, a toy drive with the kids. You should come out to the skate park and bring some toys." And I did. And that's how I actually officially met him in person.
Wow.
And ever since then, we just been friends.
That's awesome. So, okay, so back to the kidney thing. So you went through all these tests. They said, "Yep, sure enough, you're a match." Now, what does that even look like? Like, what do you on the 25th? You check in and they put you under and you walk out, a kidney lighter, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's actually the whole process starts 2 days prior. 2 days prior, I have to go. Larissa and I both have to go in, and we have to make sure none of us have COVID. And then the next day, which will be the day prior, they actually want me to stay at a hotel right across the hospital. And then, the day of, it's I basically get put under, take a little nap, and then when I wake up, I'm a little lighter.
Wow. Have you ever had any operations done before?
No. But I have been put under before when I got all 4 wisdom teeth taken out at the same time. They did that. So and I remember just
same
it's
thing.
Almost like I took a little nap. Yeah.
Same thing. Wisdom teeth, kidney. They're taking something out of you. Well, okay. So here's what you got to do. Listen, I've had a couple operations, when they give you the stuff to knock you out, fight it.
Yeah.
See how long you can stay awake. I'm telling you, it's fun. That's my advice. Okay, so the room will start spinning. The nurses will start questioning. It's amazing. But, okay, so I mean, this is a huge thing. This is a huge deal. Now, you moving forward with just one kidney, how is your life gonna change? I mean, other than the fact that your life is going to change because you've just done something amazingly, thoughtful and selfless for someone that, you said has a beautiful soul. Obviously, that's going to change your life immensely, and that's huge. But physically, like what are you going to have to? What are you going to have to?
Depends on which one they took. He'll either go hard to the right or hard to the left.
It's diet restrictions right off the bat. I will have to follow them if I want to take care of my one kidney. Not super strict. I've looked over, and it's basically just whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, stay hydrated, stay away from alcohol, tobacco. I'm not much of a drinker, so that's okay right there. And I don't really smoke, or I don't even smoke cigarettes, so that's okay. The sodium intake, I would say, is pretty low, and for someone who likes pizza and chips, it's going to be, I think, quite an adjustment for the first couple months.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. She must be, I don't know. I'll bet you she doesn't know how to feel. I'll bet you she doesn't know how to feel.
I talked to her a little bit about it, and she's still in shock and surprise, and we talk about the how much of a chance this whole thing is, right? We talk about that. And I know she's nervous, because she's got to go under too, and it's got to take. So we're all just hoping for the best,
Well, let her know what I said about trying to stay awake, because it's fun. That's my advice. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, what would you tell people? Like, what, this, I don't. It doesn't sound like you're, trying to. Get a message out there or anything. I mean, it sounds like you're just trying to do something amazing for someone that you love. But what would you tell people? I mean, would you encourage people? Hey, everybody's got two kidneys. Think about doing something, as selfless and generous. Or I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you hope people get from this?
Well, that at the end of the day, I think people is what matters the most in this world, not material things, not events, and we sometimes have to do a lot to keep our community safe and strong, and this is something I have to do to keep my community going, and then so be it. But it's one of the biggest things is, to be honest, we've lost a lot of friends overseas and stateside, so they've sacrificed their whole lives, and if I didn't have to sacrifice a little part of me, then that's nothing compared to what they've done.
Had you not stepped up, how long do you think she would have had to wait for a kidney?
Oh, I don't know. I've heard people wait for like 10 years.
Oh, my God. Wow. So, I mean, maybe that's the message right there. Maybe, it shouldn't be that way. There are enough people in this country with kidneys, with extra kidneys that maybe that's the message right there. Wow.
And your kidneys are probably big enough to give to a couple people.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But not only that, but are you a boxer? You're in MMA, right?
Yeah, I do. So there's also that.
There's one less weakness you have. There's no kidney punch on one side now.
Yeah, but
it's a defensive thing.
Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day with the weather. They're close to the ocean, the desert, the mountains. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny San Diego right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is easy. You give them a call at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly at SDFTI. That's 858-569-1822.
So we're talking with one of my favorite people, Angel Cortes from OG Pumpkin, and he was just telling us about how he's donating a kidney, which is just phenomenal. And absolutely applaud you, Angel. That's, again, one of the most selfless things I think I've ever heard anyone do, and what an amazing thing. Self-improvement's a big topic in both MMA and, of course, firearms training. We talk about it a lot. Self-improvement was a recent topic on your podcast. And I was wondering, Angel, could you share a takeaway from your conversation with Kay Hansen about that?
One of the biggest things I would say is the importance of taking care of mental health and not allowing past or maybe even very recent current life situations to determine the fate of your life, and whether it's going to be completely negative or destroy you. And I think we should live a long, healthy life. But along the way, sometimes things happen, and we should address them so we can not necessarily forget, but move on and live.
That's amazing. And I mean, your story is kind of an example of that. Your story from, moving from a gang into the Army, and it's kind of an example of you saying, hey, you know what, I gotta improve myself. I realize I'm on a track and it's not the right track and it's not a productive track, and you put yourself on the right track and put yourself in the right state of mind. So where are you now in your journey?
Well, right now I'm a instructor at Defense Strategies Group. I compete in martial arts. I own OG Pumpkin. I have my family. I got 3 kids, and I'm the most involved in their lives than I have ever been. Yes, I was in the service and everything, but I was away. So I didn't really know the kids. And now I feel like I'm the best father that I've ever been in my life.
That's amazing. So what's your focus as far as self-improvement? What's your main focus right now?
Oh, well, for now, it's staying mentally tough, because it's easy to stay mentally tough when, you're in the military, when in the special operations community. It's quite easy because that is your job. That is what you're doing. But now, you can find it hard because you come out here and you're back in the real world, and, well, it's not that tough. You're not being forced to wake up and not being forced to do this or this and that. So it's staying disciplined and not allowing myself to walk around and talk about the good old days, because I don't want to ride the coattails of that success. I want to continue my success in life,
That's amazing. So talk a little bit more. What is mental toughness? Like, if somebody's mentally tough, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it means they don't break under certain conditions. Life isn't easy. It could be sports. It could be the military. Like, for example, they're in the pipeline to enter the 75th Ranger Regiment. There were guys who were faster than me, stronger than me, who could swim faster, who can shoot way better. But they, at one point or another, just mentally broke and said, you know what, I'm done. Thank you, but no thank you. I'm out of here. And people have to endure. It's easy to endure something when it doesn't last long, but day in, day out. And I think that's not the toughness right there.
All right, so let's say I'm a regular guy and I'm a whatever. I got a family, I got a job. I shoot my guns for fun on the weekend, and whatever. I'm a Joe Lunchbox, normal, regular, everyday guy. What if I'm not mentally I'm not mentally tough? What do I do?
Well,
how do you work on that?
You can. I would suggest, honestly, jiu-jitsu. And I have trained to compete in Muay Thai and kickboxing, but I think jiu-jitsu it tests you physically and mentally. And it's something about jiu-jitsu just makes people come together. Because I'll be on the mat, and it'll be a cop, a firefighter, a veteran, a dad who's this is what he looks forward to because he's in the office, 24/7 and stuff like that. And little by little, you're gonna get tested. Nothing is handed in any good jiu-jitsu gym. Nothing is handed to you. You earn your stripes, you earn your belts, and you grow together.
Now, Alicia's shaking her head. Yes.
I do jiu-jitsu as well, and you find your weakness and you find strength where you didn't know you had it, and it's a pretty amazing experience.
Definitely.
I can vouch for that.
Talk about that. What do you mean you find strength that you didn't know you had it?
If you've never been on the ground and grappled with somebody, it's easier. It's easier to watch. It's easier to like couch quarterback and to kind of say what you should do to be able to get up and get out of the situation. But when you're down, you're pinned, you got someone on you. it's hard. Your mind goes blank. You might know techniques to do, but it's a struggle. And so it takes a level of training and commitment to kind of be able to get to that point to where you can do it and be successful. And it's a neat experience.
So how does that translate? So you take jiu-jitsu, which I think is an excellent suggestion. You take jiu-jitsu, you struggle, like what Alicia's saying. Hey, and it really is. Grappling is such a pure form of combat. It's such a pure form of adversarial combat. I mean, there's no technology involved. It's just you and one other person. There's no team dynamic involved. It's one-on-one. It really truly is skill against skill. I mean, strength barely matters. It really has to do with what you know and how much heart and soul you got.
And heart and soul is everything. I did it. My buddy and I, we got into judo, and I ended up on the United States Army judo team. But before that, him and I were down on the ground. We had each other in a chokehold, and we just kept choking and choking and choking. And the coach come over and he says, "Just get up," because neither one of us would quit, and neither one of us passed out because we didn't have the strength to take the other one out. But neither one of us would give up. So, and you're right. It's probably one of my favorite sports.
So, Angel, those kinds of stories, what Alicia and Dave just talked about, what you were just talking about, how does that translate to normal life? Like you said, you got Joe Lunchbox. He's got a job. He's got a family. Whatever. Life isn't turning out like he thought it was. He isn't mentally tough. He doesn't want to admit it. He can't say that, right? You can't go to your friends and say, hey, you know what, I'm not mentally tough. I mean, it's just not socially acceptable. So he goes and he takes jiu-jitsu. Excellent suggestion. He
Makes
finds
you a better person.
But talk about that. Angel, how does that translate to a person's everyday life?
Well, when I do jiu-jitsu, especially early in the day, I mean, that most likely is going to be the hardest thing I've done. I will do for the rest of the day. After that, things don't seem to be that bad. That traffic, you know what? It's not that bad. You're relaxed. You're not all tensed up and angry like everybody else. Work doesn't seem to be that complicated. Because if you're training, especially so somebody doesn't choke, they're out of you, so you pass out. You realize that, hey, this or that isn't that bad. It's not that stressful. And you do problem solving. Jiu-jitsu isn't, or martial arts in general, isn't just like something you power yourself through. You got to think. You got to be patient. You got to. It's chess, not checkers.
And Angel, one other thing, and I'm going to throw it out because I'm older than dirt. I tripped over a rock in my driveway, and I went down. And I swear, if I didn't have the training that I had, I probably would have hurt myself. But it also teaches you to fall, roll, and because most people stick their hands out and try to stop a fall. But if you've had jiu-jitsu or judo, you know to roll, not try to stop the impact.
Yes, sir.
So when you get old, just remember that.
I will.
Thanks, Dave. Getting old advice.
Yeah, well,
from
hey,
Dave Stahl.
I might as well. I'm there, so I might as well throw it out there.
Better than the alternative.
Yes, it is.
So, all right. So this is awesome. This is very, very cool, Angel. I really, really appreciate your perspective and everything that you're doing for everybody around you, not just your community, but your friend and his wife and their family.
And you're the first one to get 3 segments, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
So, he is.
Thank you.
So before we let you go, what's your absolute best advice for people that are listening and they really want to build up a stronger self-improvement habit? What's your best advice to those people?
I would say accountability. And it starts within, but it makes it easier when you have your friends hold you accountable. I don't have yes men around me. I don't have anyone who just, tells me I'm great. They're always telling me how I can improve, and when I'm messing up. So accountability is huge. So it starts with yourself, and then maybe your spouse, your best friend, or hopefully then your whole little social circle that you have going on, and little by little, you'll be improving. And 6 months from now, you will look at yourself and be like, I am a better version than I was 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about the people you surround yourself with, and scuttling people who are bringing you down or aren't helping build you up. I think is, I think it's one of those things I wish I'd have learned 20 years ago.
Never too old to learn.
There you go. Or fall down.
Or fall down.
Angel, thank you so much, man. How do people find out more about OG Pumpkin and support you and help you out?
Well, we are on Instagram at _OG_pumpkin, or you can easily just Google OG Pumpkin or Ranger Cortes, and just about everything you will need will pop up.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.